Good morning and welcome back. It is Monday, August 17th, 2026, and volunteers near Athens rescued hundreds of animals during a wildfire.
That stopped me before my first sip. I cannot fit hundreds of frightened animals into one picture.
The clearest close-up is from Megara, where an organizer counted more than 280 rescued animals, mostly dogs.
Now I am thinking about familiar paws, familiar routines, and many homes hoping for good news.
Your feelings arrived together, so today's keyword for this conversation is piece by piece, spelled P-I-E-C-E, by P-I-E-C-E. Good. My heart can hurry ahead, but the conversation does not have to chase it. Our second story is Salad and Go's earlier exits from Texas and Oklahoma, plus reported store counts in Arizona and Nevada. That opens an imaginary delivery map in my head. Why do the pins gather in only two places? Then, Yum announced $2.7 billion agreements to sell Pizza Hut, beside a separate plan involving 250 U.S. restaurant closures. A huge price, two buyer regions, and another plan beside them. My mental desk already needs separate folders. We will keep those folders separate without turning the cafe into an office meeting. Thank you. I came with coffee, not a tiny briefcase. If you are new here, we turn real news into natural conversation for daily listening and shadowing. You can bring real reactions too. Surprise, worry, and curiosity all belong at this table. Subscribe if these conversations help you and stay with us for the next 10 minutes. I am staying. I want the careful version without losing the human part. Ready to begin with the rescue near Athens? Ready. Let us give that story the quiet attention it deserves. AP reported that volunteers rescued hundreds of pets and wild animals during the wildfire near Athens. An organizer said the Megara effort saved more than 280, mostly dogs.
Hundreds makes me pause. I picture a list that keeps scrolling after I thought I had reached the bottom.
That long list feeling matches the scale, and the list would not hold only one kind of animal.
Right. Pets make me imagine home routines, while wild animals make me wonder what calm even looks like for them.
You notice the contrast inside the rescue. Familiar animals and wild ones were both part of the volunteers' work.
My usual solution is a labeled basket for everything. This sounds far beyond one neat basket.
Your basket instinct cannot organize this away, but it does show how many different needs the word animals can contain.
And then, mostly dogs, pulls me close again. I think of leashes by doors and bowls in kitchens.
Those ordinary details explain why that part feels personal, even though we do not know each dog's story.
I feel relief that help reached them, then worry rushes in because a rescue is never just a number.
I hear both feelings. The number shows the reach of the effort. Your worry reminds us that every count represents living animals.
That is where my imagination needs manners. I can care deeply without inventing a dramatic scene for each one.
That restraint keeps the volunteers at the center, rather than turning uncertainty into extra storytelling.
I still want to know what happened afterward. My heart always asks for the final page first.
Mine does too, but this report gives us the rescue itself, not every later outcome.
Then I can leave that question open without letting it erase the good work we do know about.
And while that question stays open, the wider wording still includes pets and wild animals, so dogs do not become the whole story.
I'm glad you kept that wider circle visible. A familiar detail can pull attention too strongly.
Your reaction corrected that pull. We can feel close to the dogs and still remember the other rescued animals.
What stays with me is the range. Creatures connected to homes, creatures from the wild, and volunteers helping both.
That range is the heart of this account, along with a rescue count large enough to stop us for a moment.
I am carrying that pause forward. The next story has store numbers, but I don't want them to become cold pins either.
An industry report said Salad and Go had earlier exited Texas and Oklahoma, while the chain had 63 Arizona units and 7 Nevada units at that time.
My brain opens a map immediately. 2 state names leave the screen, 1 cluster looks crowded, and 1 looks much smaller.
That screen image captures the change. The 2 exits and the 2 reported state counts describe a very uneven footprint.
63 versus 7 feels like 2 trays of map pins with 1 tray covering most of the table.
Your trays make the contrast visible. Arizona had the larger reported count, and Nevada had the smaller one.
But I caught the words "at that time." They stop my imaginary map from pretending it is current.
I like that distinction. These counts describe the reported moment, not a promise about what a phone would show now.
Good, because I am exactly the person who taps near me and expects the screen to know everything.
Your app habit also makes the exits feel concrete. A familiar name can remain while the places attached to it change.
Having both states leave the list feels bigger than watching 1 lonely pin disappear on screen.
That is a fair reaction to 2 state exits. We just cannot add a reason that the confirmed account does not give us.
My curious side dislikes that blank. My sensible side is placing a chair over it so I do not fall in.
Keep the chair there. An unanswered why can remain unanswered while the geographic change stays clear.
Then I want to ask about the numbers. Is 63 large, or does it only look large beside 7?
Besides 7, it is clearly the larger count. We don't need an industry comparison to notice that difference.
The story still has movement, though. 2 states were exited earlier, while the reported units sat in 2 others.
You kept the verbs in the right places. The exits concern Texas and Oklahoma. The counts concern Nevada and Arizona.
Then my one folder says, "Do not mix departures with head counts."
And inside it, we keep the time label, too. That makes the piece accurate without making it lifeless.
The life comes from imagining someone opening an app and realizing the familiar option is no longer where expected.
Your everyday picture gives the map a human scale, while the report gives us the boundaries of what changed.
I have the map now. For the final story, I suspect we will need a map, a calculator, and a much larger folder.
Yum announced $2.7 billion agreements to sell Pizza Hut, splitting the buyers between mainland China and other markets. A separate report described 250 planned U.S. closures.
My brain drew one giant sale sign. Then you split it into 2 buyer lanes and placed a closure notice beside it.
Those lanes matter. The $2.7 billion is the aggregate value across the sale agreements, not a price for each buyer group. So I should not copy the total onto both lanes, like accidentally charging 2 tables for the same dinner. Your dinner bill warning works. One buyer covers outside mainland China, and another covers mainland China. And agreements to sell means my imagination should not hang a finished sign on the door yet. Right. Yum announced agreements, so we should keep the action at that stage rather than racing ahead. My online shopping brain understands. An order confirmation is important, but it is not a package in my hands. That timing comparison is useful here. An agreement is real news without being the final step of every process. Now, the 250 U.S. restaurants belong to the other notice on our desk, correct? Correct. Restaurant Business reported a plan to close 250 U.S. restaurants early in 2026 under Hut Forward. The word plan makes me picture pencil marks on a calendar, not 250 completed check marks. Your calendar gets the timing right. The account described planned closures, so we should not speak as if all were finished. A familiar brand makes that distinction feel emotional. My reaction wants to run faster because I recognize the name. I understand. Familiarity brings memories and opinions quickly, which is another reason to keep agreement and plan visible. It is like seeing a friend's name in a long message. You lean closer before you have read the whole sentence. That leaning closer is human. We just keep reading until the sale agreements and the closure plan remain separate.
Could I say the closures happened because of the sale?
No, we have two reported developments around the same brand, but not a confirmed cause and effect link.
Then my stapler goes back in the drawer. Same logo does not give me permission to join the pages.
Your stapler image solves the biggest risk in this story. Related subjects do not automatically create one explanation.
Piece by piece, I now see aggregate value, 2 buyer regions, and a separate U.S. closure plan.
And each piece keeps its own label. Agreements, separate buyers, planned closures, and early 2026.
The larger folder was worth it. The story feels clearer, not colder, when every part stays in its proper place.
We have reached the end with a rescue list, a restaurant map, and Lisa's surprisingly organized stack of folders. Please respect my growth. At the beginning, all 3 headlines were rolling around loose beside my coffee. The first story showed volunteers rescuing hundreds of pets and wild animals near Athens, including more than 280 in the Megara effort. I felt closest to the dogs, then remembered not to let that familiar detail hide the wild animals. The second showed Salad and Go's earlier Texas and Oklahoma exits, with 63 Arizona units and 7 Nevada units reported at that time. My map stayed dated, and I compared the 2 counts without inventing a reason for the exits. The third held $2.7 billion sale agreements, 2 regional buyer groups, and a separate plan for 250 U.S. restaurant closures. My staplers stayed closed. I am honestly proud of that. Which story would you revisit and why? A. Animal rescue. B. Restaurant map. Or C. Pizza Hut. I choose the animal rescue because separating the wide count from the Megara count helped me feel the scale without losing the animals. I choose the Pizza Hut story because the buyer split and the separate closure plan changed a simple headline into a more precise picture.
Tell us your answer in the comments. Any language is welcome, and an animal, map, salad, or pizza emoji works too.
If today's conversation helped your listening, please like, subscribe, and come back tomorrow for another Real News Cafe chat. I will bring coffee and 1 folder, not 12. We have to keep this place looking like a cafe. Take today's phrase with you. Piece by piece, a complicated headline can become clear without losing its human weight. Have a gentle Monday. Give the next big story a breath, then take it 1 piece at a time.